playing a weird little game for the Game Boy Advance. It's called Blender Bros. It's a platform-style game. You have 7 different planets that you have to do these platform-style activities. Play this character that looks like a dog, a cute little dog, and he's got giant floppy ears. With the ears, he can spin them around real fast, and he can hover like a helicopter. He can actually beat on bad guys with his ears. The best thing about this guy's ears, though, is that he can actually jump up in the air, take a nosedive, and bounce off of his ears like a springboard. I've never seen anything like that before in my life. Now, what you do is you run through these levels, you're collecting your bones, which are your money, and you can buy CDs in the CD shop, and there's mini games and, you know, fun stuff like that. But you're also collecting these little mini bros. Now, the mini bros are these little orbs that rotate around our guy, and they have different capabilities. So you can have a mini bro that can beat up on the bad guys, or you can have a mini bro that you can actually jump on and it'll help you stay above the water. Now what you can do is you can go into the CD shop with your mini bro, and you can have him listen to some CDs, and if he likes it, he'll actually be transformed. He'll be inspired into a more powerful mini bro. And what you can do then is you can actually link up with other Game Boy players, and you can exchange your mini bros as if they were like a Pokemon type thing. You can also play some of the mini games that are in this thing in a multiplayer mode, which is kind of fun as well. I think they've added that kind of mini game gameplay into this thing because really, even though you have big ears, the gameplay in the platform style game is pretty derivative. We've seen this kind of stuff a lot, especially on the Game Boy Advance. Now, I think the platform style gameplay that's in here is pretty derivative. The graphics are pretty standard, pretty average for the Game Boy Advance. It's not the best Game Boy Advance platform type game I've seen, but it's pretty good. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Check it out for your Game Boy Advance. The guy's got big ears. We're going to talk about a giant robot fighting game for the PlayStation 2. This is called Mobile Suit Gundam Deluxe. Earth Forces versus the Principality of Zeon, or something like that. It's the longest title I've had to say in a long time.
Gundam, that's a long name.
What did you think of this game?
The graphics on this game looks like a PlayStation 1 game.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Yeah, it didn't look hardly at all better than a PS1 game.
Lots of grays, very, very blocky. And you know, in other mech games like this, you know, they put a lot of thought into actually creating your exact specific kind of mech. And really in this, you really just kind of get to pick your weapon.
Capcom actually developed this thing, and it's very similar to some of the other fighting games that they've done before. You hear a lot of the same sound effects that you've heard in a lot of other Capcom fighters.
That sound like they're from the 70s.
There are some weird ones in there. So even though they put in this cool giant robot sort of license in there, it's pretty much a straightforward license with shooting weapons, and you have blade-type weapons that look like lightsabers.
And the cinematics and the voiceovers, you know, they really don't, you know, this license deserves better quality than this.
Caught by the enemy in satellite orbit. Destroy the enemy mobile suit.
I like these giant robots. I like the look of these things, and I think there's a nice assortment and collection of robots to play with in this game, which is nice, but it really deserves better quality. There's a few different modes in the game. There's the arcade mode, which you can play and basically get, you know, one battle after another. You can have somebody join you in co-op mode. There's a campaign mode where you can play in single player. There's also a versus mode where you can battle against a buddy. And, you know, kind of expected stuff like that.
I gotta be honest with you, I'll be the first one to admit, I don't like mechs.
Right.
Certainly don't like Gundam. And when I actually get into the gameplay,
yes,
it's just not very fun. It's boring.
I actually prefer the close combat battling than the projectile fighting. It is kind of cool that you're getting attacked not only by other guys in giant robot suits, but there's tanks cruising around that you can basically step on because they're just in your way. And then there's also big boss spaceships and big boss tanks that you have to deal with. Some of that stuff is nice. But, you know, I think the biggest problem here is that the presentation is so dry. Like, audio quality is just terrible, and, you know, the graphic quality just looks really bad. I mean,
I was just bored to tears, this whole thing. Like I said, I wasn't interested in the license to begin with, and at the end of this game, I'm still certainly not interested in the license. It's just a horrible game. It's a horrible game. What else can you say?
I wouldn't say horrible. I've definitely played worse games than this. It's just absolutely mediocre. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10.
Wow, I'm going to give it a 3.5 because I don't even think it's mediocre.
On the positive side, I like giant robots. I know Tommy doesn't, but I like them. The lightsaber weapons and close proximity attacks are pretty fun, and the boss battles are also pretty cool.
On the negative side, this game had horrible sound effects. The graphics overall look like something you'd see on the PlayStation 1. And finally, if you're not into Gundam before, you're definitely not going to be into Gundam now.
We're on a never-ending search for the perfect Game Boy Advance light, and we've got one today that's actually more than just a light. This is called the Handy Pak from Interact, and it comes with speakers that sort of open out like barn doors on the thing, and they actually bill it as a home theater system for your Game Boy Advance. And you can tilt the light. It's sort of like that Pelican light shield we reviewed before.
It's supposed to be a portable system?
Yes.
By strapping this on,
yes,
you're basically doubling the size of your portable system.
That is a major, major problem with this thing. I like the fact that we get much crisper stereo sound out of the speakers. I mean, it's a lot better than the tiny little thing that we get in the Game Boy Advance.
Just put it in your headphone.
That is absolutely an option. The light does work, but it has a glare on top of the screen.
Like all Game Boy lights do.
It's not the perfect light that we're still looking for. But the biggest crime that this thing has is that it takes AAA batteries. It takes 2 AAA batteries. And that's going to add to the weight and to the cost of running your Game Boy Advance. And that just doesn't make any sense to me at all. I mean, there is a nice little handle grip thing underneath the Game Boy Advance, so it feels a little bit more comfortable. And, you know, I do like the sound quality out of this thing.
I like the swinging doors.
The swinging door thing is cool. It's a neat design. I like that they tag it the home theater for the Game Boy Advance, but I got to say this is far from that. So you're going to recommend it?
No.
I'm not going to recommend it either. On the positive side, we like the fact that it does have nice big stereo speakers on the device. It does offer handles underneath the Game Boy Advance. And at 15 bucks, the price isn't too bad.
On the negative side, this thing takes 2 AAA batteries. I mean, who wants to carry around more batteries? This thing's supposed to be portable, right? As a strap-on, you're pretty much doubling the size of your Game Boy Advance. And finally, the light on this thing really doesn't help it that much.
Judgment Day is going to be right back with a look at Super Mario Sunshine.
I'm going to go check out one of these boats.
I'm going to go get a life jacket.
What the heck do you need a life jacket for?